call a meeting to order for May 21st, 2012, a continuation meeting from our May 7th regular monthly meeting. We've got about 3 or 4 things on the agenda, some of great importance. We got a first item is an ABC contract, and John, it's got your name on it. So will you lead us off?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I have emailed the board, and actually emailed you twice because there were a couple of last-minute revisions that I needed to make. A proposed offer to Bright Myers for the proposed property for the ABC store. The negotiations that we've had with them have been a little lengthier than I expected. Mostly over the issue of escrow funds. And Alderman Mashburn, as the board may recall, asked me as we looked at the letter of intent, we're not putting up any $1.25 million as earnest money, right? And I said, no, of course not. And that's really what I assumed. They thought that we were going to put up $1.25 million as earnest money. We clearly are not going to do that. This contract does not do that. Puts up a $50,000 earnest money deposit that would then be paid back through the proceeds, paid back to the town through the proceeds from the loan. In other respects, this contract does what basically the letter of intent said it would do to provide the building as specified. It is contingent on a lease of the property by the ABC board. And in most every other respect, it is a sort of a boilerplate contract.
What contingency is there regarding the value, the appraisal of the value of the property?
Well, the town's performance as a whole is contingent on its ability to get a loan in the amount of the purchase. And if you had if an appraisal would not support the loan in that amount, then the town's not able to get the loan, and you have your out of the contract.
Do we know though, if from our lending source, whether they're going to require as full what emphasis they're going to put on collateral? Being a municipality, maybe they have a different way. I mean, that's.
It has to be vetted first by the local government commission, and they will require just a standard commercial appraisal for value of the property.
But theoretically, Sam, because you've got more background in this than the rest of us, theoretically, if we were to borrow whatever 1.25 or whatever number it is, the appraisal could come in less than that, $1.9 million, whatever it is, but they could still authorize a loan based upon ability to pay and stuff. Would we then be obligated to go through, because we could get a loan even though it turns out that the commercial appraisal value of the property was substandard or deficient from what as to the purchase price?
Essentially, that would be up to the financial review of the LGC, of course, but essentially that has been done in the past.
Why would we not want to have in there that if the property did not appraise for the value we're paying for it, then we don't have to go through because of the lack of inability to justify it to commercial standards?
I think it would certainly be wise to add that to the contract. And it's another point about the negotiations that I need to share with the board is that mostly due to that escrow provision, you're not at a final, if you were to approve the contract that I've sent to you tonight, we don't have a bound contract. It would just be an offer at that point because we don't have acceptance of all the terms of it by Bright Myers. We don't know that they won't still be looking for a much larger earnest money deposit than what we're willing to give them. So my idea is to be able to take them and offer that says, here it is, seller, take it or leave it, more or less.
John, has the ABC board seen the contract or seen the terms of it?
No, sir.
Why isn't it?
I have any opportunity to share it with you until.
Okay, because
Yeah,
it's
we're
that
not-
contract.
yeah.
What's the time frame on this? When you take it back? What are we talking about?
The time frame to close,
Well, I mean, shuts
their,
it down?
on their
I mean, when you
acceptance
take
of it.
it back, when you go back,
I don't know. I don't know when they'll accept it.
because, you know, they're under a time frame, ABC, commission.
Well, yes, but I think that the thing that's in everybody's favor, if this property is to be the one that the ABC board is going, you know, the ABC store will be relocated to, is that they're gonna build it regardless. I mean, I think it looks to me like it's already under construction, that strip of buildings, so.
It's all, I was there today, it's all complete, all the masonry is complete, the masonry contractor's gonna be moving out, so everything is up, so that now they're just starting to work on the interior for the shells, so.
So whenever we would reach an agreement, the building itself would be,
But I think what Cissy is asking is that they're not gonna wait around forever. They're gonna need to find somebody to buy a place. Is that right, Cissy? Is that
Well,
what
what
you're?
I'm saying too is that, the ABC board, it's my understanding, they said to us that they have a time frame, it has to go before their commission. And then there's a time frame there.
Right, there is.
30
And then they
days.
also have to put all their stuff, designers and all that in interior, that has to go to commission.
Well, then it may
So-
turn out that this was same as the, some of the others like Barry, that, you know, timing out.
Well, I think that, I don't see that as much as I see that,
Let's,
I think, someone needs to hold a feet, right?
if we're wanting to chase this rabbit on down the trail some more, and, you know, there's been a lot of things that have happened, I want us to have a good, frank, open discussion about all aspects of this. I mean, this is a huge decision, and frankly, we've not had, my understanding, as a group, collectively, the right to just openly and frankly discuss. I mean, I have a lot of questions. Do we know, Sam, how much money are we talking about? And this talk, I mean, we've got a purchase price, right?
The purchase price was 1.35.
Okay. All right, now, common area maintenance. John, Sam, do we know?
$1,000 a month, essentially what they're charged now with
That's what the property paid.
I pay it back.
No, for Walmart, for the
Yes,
new.
yes,
How much a month you say?
1,000.
Is
They're
that-
paying it
It's
if I will now.
equivalent to what they're paying now.
Is that in writing?
Yeah, you go there.
I mean, I haven't seen that. Okay, the interest on the money. Or can we figure what, 4% loan?
No, it's gonna be less than 3%. It's currently in the placement market right now, so I can't tell
So,
you it would have been less than 3%.
Okay, now, the moving costs.
That's the ABC.
That's-
It's-
work
The ABC board, I understand, it has just very little money in a,
My understanding is they're gonna get a loan for that. They're
They're
having to, they're having to
Okay.
do something for
but
themselves.
whatever money that the ABC board has to spend, that's taken out of the town's pocket because we get the surplus over all
No,
their
it
expenses.
isn't either. No, it isn't.
Why not?
Because they figured that in their budget.
In their budget, but once they get all of the budget, then the
We'll
The
get
town gets the
same-
rest.
We'll get the same amount.
They have to pay it.
if they, I mean, how much are we how much are we talking about? How much is the expense gonna be that we estimate over and above the 1.25 million to place the store and get it operational?
Let me ask you a question. How come everybody except me seems to know what's going on with this ABC store?
I'm asking some questions because I don't know.
And yet, you seem to know a lot, you seem to know a lot. Where has any of this been sent out?
I went up to Pat Patillo myself and asked him
Okay,
questions.
well, why has none of this been shared with the board?
I just
I
asked him
mean,
yesterday.
maybe I'm the only one. It
But I
hasn't
made a
been
point
shared
of
with me.
going to him and asking him a question.
I have one more question. Downtown is dying. Main Street is doing all right. But downtown is dying. And one of the reasons it's dying is because a lot of things are going out to this Walmart supercenter. And you look around right now, we're gonna have an abandoned shopping center when Walmart leaves where they are now. And this town is beginning to die from the inside out. Why are we supporting something that's gonna kill more businesses?
Why would you be dying when the same stores that are out there are just moving?
Well, who's gonna fill in the vacant places?
Well, there are other, I mean,
Now, my understanding, it's another one of these deals where, from what I heard, Walmart would have had 10,000 more square feet if they'd let the place where they are now add the 30,000 square feet. That may not have anything to do with this issue.
Too
But
late now.
I cannot be convinced that we need a new ABC store. I'm sorry, folks.
Well, we've got I want y'all to take these numbers down because this is the way I see it. We've got 1.25 as a purchase price. And if it's $1,000 a month amortized over 20 years, that's $240,000. I'll round it to 250 because somewhere in the 20 years, they'll probably go up above $1,000 for the common area maintenance. But that gets us to 1.5 million. Now, I ran the amortization at 4%, granted, that's higher than we possibly could get it at $120,000, and we're talking about maybe borrowing more than that, and that's $545,000 right there of interest that we would have to pay because we're having to borrow this money and pay it back presumably over 20 years. That gets you right at about $2 million. I do believe that for whatever many thousands of dollars we have to spend extra, whether it be the ABC board spending or whether it be the town, in the end, if it didn't have to be spent, it would come back to the town. Because these towns here, I've got the revenues from all the towns west of Asheville. We're grossly low percentage-wise of all of them. But then we're taking a piece of property of which we don't know the value right now because we've not even bothered to get it appraised, and it doesn't seem to be too concerning how it appraises out as long as we can get the money. We're taking that off the tax base for the number of years, and if it was appraised for $1 million, and if we get $2,600 or whatever for 20 years, there's another $50,000 or $60,000 or whatever it is. The cost of this is in excess of $2 million. Now, whenever you look at that, and then you figure that what the whole reason we started with this was because they were raising our rent, and now they're not raising our rent.
Have we got that in writing? We have not gotten it in writing
there's
from
nothing
them.
in writing and
Nothing.
no.
Okay, well then let me put it this way. Sam, what do you know about that?
Well, first of all, getting back to your figures, the amortizing out the $1,000 a month,
No,
did you include that in the 2
No.
million?
I included $1,000 a month for 240 months.
You put that in your $2
Sure.
million figure? It's gonna be paid anywhere they are.
It-
So
Not
you have
necessarily.
to subtract that from that
If we
figure.
have
It's
our
just-
own-
That's not a capital cost. That's a rent cost.
It's a cost that otherwise would come to the town, Sam. It's a cost that otherwise would come to the town.
They're paying it now.
They're paying it
They
now.
maybe are paying it
And
now.
so that's really not reflective of anything.
I'm suggesting,
That's not accurate.
right now, how much are we paying a month?
About $1,000 a month.
Total, how much total are we paying about a month?
About it. Oh, you mean for the total lease?
Mhm.
What, Todd?
62.
6,200 a month.
Does that include the $1,000 or whatever, the common area maintenance?
Yes, sir.
If we were to have this amortization, that again, it's 120, a little bit low, but it's a 4%, the payment then would be about 72, almost 7,300 principal and interest. If it's that's 8,300, that's another $2,000 at least per month that we would have just to handle the payment. Right now, if we're at 62, we'd be at 82.
Joe, you're combining current expense with capital cost. You don't do that. It's just not done.
Does it make sense to anybody what I'm doing? Yeah.
Your monthly maintenance is an operating cost. You don't capitalize that. You
If
don't put it
at
in
the end of the
financing.
day, after they have their cost of liquors, after they have their taxes, all of that, the rest of it goes to the municipality. So whatever is up there on the top, Sam, if we can get away from that, more of it comes to the municipality. There's a lot of spots where we don't have common area maintenance. Most spots don't have.
Can I stop just for a second? Now, we're going right back to the same argument that, I mean, I understood that we formed a committee, the committee looked at all these spots, they went to the ABC board, they've agreed on what to do, and now we're arguing with them about it. They just came to us to make it happen. I guess, I mean.
Do we not have a say?
Well, but it's always an argument. I mean, gee whiz, I've been hearing this for
I haven't heard it at all.
a while.
I mean, not me, not
Well, you
from,
haven't been listening to yourself, Joe, because you've been arguing for 2 months now,
well,
or 3.
in that public session, where everybody gets it, I want a full-throated defense. I want those who are for it to tell me why they were for it, so that maybe all the public can know and we can all hear. That's what I want. They're not going up on the bend, are they, Sam? If we choose to stay there.
They've offered to freeze it for the next run, for the next
Okay.
lease period,
Okay.
which is 3 years.
All right, well, then that
But
would be
it's in
fine.
writing, is it a contract?
But the
Is it
only,
firm?
only way they did that is when the lady
the
who was
last
in
minute.
charge of that shopping center went into Bilo's, and Bilo jumped all over them because they had not tried to do something. And the ABC board wrote them a letter, called them, and they did not hear one thing from them, and the next thing they knew, they were going up on their rent.
Irrespective,
So,
we don't
we're-
have the
this is-
pressure. We don't have the pressure of the rent going up. And that's
Well,
what
I wouldn't-
precipitated
I
everything.
wouldn't count on that. And besides, that rent would be going out of the county.
It's been, what do you mean, Sam says that they're gonna freeze it for 3 years and you don't count on that?
I don't know, I
No,
wouldn't
that's
count.
Well,
on
then
that.
let me ask you this, if in fact we got it in writing, would that mean something to you, Joyce?
I don't know, I think we've gone far enough, and I think that other location has a higher traffic pattern, has much more appealability to it. It's just my opinion.
For what purpose?
Traffic, if I built a business, I would want my business in the highest traffic area possible, so people can see it and it's visible. If you get tourists in town, Joe, and you say, wherever we decided to put it someplace else, when you say to the tourists, because they ask when you're in the grocery stores or whatever, oh, it's out by the bylaw, they have a key thing. You say to them, it's down, if you go down 2 traffic lights and go to this thing, and wherever it's gonna be. Yeah, people are gonna, that live in town, know where it is, and if they're wanting to go, are gonna go. But we have a lot of seasonal people here that I feel will get lost in the shuffle, and a lot of whatever. I just feel it is a visible spot, and it's going to be jam-packed with people. It's my opinion.
I
I just
feel
can't,
like,
I just can't buy into that at all, Joel.
It's okay, we all can have our own
People who
opinion.
drink are gonna know where the ABC store is if it's out here in Burning Town Center. They don't go because Walmart is there. They go because they get a
Because
pint
it's
of liquor.
Walmart, I meant just simply because it's a big shopping center,
That's-
people go in. That's just my feeling.
Well, I
And
want,
that's what Joe's asking
I wanna-
for. He's asking all of our opinions.
I wanna say one more
Thank you.
thing.
Yes.
We're talking about the rent going out of county. But we're getting ready to give, what, 1.25 million to an out-of-state company?
but we're going
In
to-
Tennessee?
But the money's coming back in.
It's
But they're
still
paying
going
for it.
out, sissy.
Well, even, it doesn't matter, you're gonna get it back, Joe.
When
Plus,
and by paying.
So
where we
is
are.
the theory that we just sell more liquor, is that what we're
No,
going?
that's not.
That's what Joe- that's what it is, isn't it,
No,
Joyce?
it's
Joyce,
No,
you
not
say-
necessarily. I'm saying,
You said that.
availability, convenience.
Means, right now, we sell more than Waynesville and sell almost as much as, I've got the records right here.
Right.
I mean, we're selling a whole lot. Waynesville has Silva has 11.82% return to the municipalities. Waynesville has 6.9, we have 2.87. It's not a matter of us selling more, it's a matter of us making more revenue off of it. How would that help in where we're at by spending an extra $2,000 or so a month for 20 years?
So you're saying that after that committee, and we had all board members on that committee, you're saying then to ditch everything, that, of course, you've been for that all along.
I'm not saying to ditch everything, I'm saying this is a terrible business decision. What bank, Sissy, what bank could you go into and ask them to loan you 100% of a loan when the business you have has no guarantee that it will remain that business because of privatization, and when you don't even have a commercial appraisal to support the value?
Well, if you have a privatization, then you're gonna be able to sell the building.
Do we know what the value of the building is?
I don't know what the
Well, then,
value of the building
does that not
is.
matter to you?
I think that we'll know what's going on. I mean, I do not understand. I just feel like that when Farrell and Garland, and that when they all got together and when they went on to Asheville, they went to all these places, this is where they got a lot of their stuff, that all these foreign indie shopping centers. And they're doing well with them.
But it went a lot farther than that. This was brought back to the table and was discussed openly. You said you hadn't heard anything, any discussion on it. It was discussed openly at our retreat. With all the ABC board there.
Of which
showing their full support.
Russell has already looked at outside, he
Of
don't
all
want
of it, and he was there too. But Russell has been with us even at the last meeting, that he sat in, he was okay with it.
Vernon, what is your rationale for
But
it?
changing his, I mean, I don't know why he changes his mind.
What is your rationale for it?
Well, my rationale is that when it started out as a good business decision. They wanted to do it, and you talk about, the return to the town. The previous boards, of which you sat on as an alderman, limited what they gave to the town to $50,000 up until 2 years ago.
Well, then where's
So
that
they
money
weren't gonna
going?
give no more. Ask Todd.
Where is that money then? How much is in a building fund?
How much money have we got in excess of our
Yes.
working capital?
Yes.
Roughly $50,000 to $60,000.
So, I mean, the money's, I'm not saying the money was in.
I'm not saying, I'm not managing the business.
Right.
So therefore, I didn't ask him questions. But I did, mention that I didn't think that 50,000 was enough, and 2 years ago, they started giving 70,000.
But they can only give what they can give.
That's true.
And so they're only giving 70,000. If they only have a working capital, which they have to have, and only has less than 50,000, whatever that number is, we can't get any more than that.
But if we had all these objections to it, we could have shut it down.
But we can still
3
shut
months
it down.
ago and saved a lot
But
of
at that time,
problems.
I did not have the information I've gotten in the last two town board meetings.
And we didn't know that they were gonna
I
freeze our
thought you
rent.
just said you hadn't got no information.
I haven't
Anybody
with
else, or
discussion.
maybe I'm sitting here like a fool. I just heard you state that how come I'm the only one on the board that ain't never got anything?
Because it looks like some of this has already been discussed. Is it not? It won't be the first time something's been discussed.
I was on
out of my
the
ear shot.
committee,
You
we
know that.
discussed some things.
You know damn good and well. There have been things discussed.
I'm
Okay,
doing
all
right,
right,
but
I'm sorry.
if we start out on the rationale, the reason we started this was that they were gonna raise our rent 10%, and now they're not going to. And if we don't even have an idea of really what the value of that is, and still are willing to raise our hand and say, heck yeah, are we being a good fiduciary, are we being good patrons, servants of the monies of the town?
It's not up to us. The ABC board, can the ABC board sign that offered purchasing contract, John?
I wish they
Do
would.
they need the town, they're an authority?
Then let them get the loan on their own.
Well, but that's just, I mean, they came to us, the only reason they came to us in the first place was because they were concerned about things and thought that it would be a better decision if the town would hold title to the property instead of the ABC board, and the ABC board would completely pay the bills, okay? That was just their whole intent. Now, that's me, Joe.
Okay.
That's what I understood they came to the board for. They didn't come to the board looking for money. They didn't come to the board looking for anything. They originally came to the board just saying, look, we think this is a good idea to find our own building and to go out and have the town holding title to some of this stuff. Then we formed the committee basically to look for the site. It had nothing to do with
Billy,
anything else.
as many years, and John, as many years as we've been in real estate law, do you actually believe that the ABC board could go and get 100 and whatever % financing they would need, the 1.25 plus every $150,000 you need to move in? Do you think any bank would loan the ABC board 110% collateral? No way.
Joe, I've had churches come in and get 100% loan to buy the church. I mean, they're, I don't know, it depends on, you know, it depends on the lending institution of what
No.
they're gonna do and what they're not
Joyce.
gonna do.
Listening to what Sam said a few minutes ago, now, being an ex-banker, just gets scary, but from what I just heard from him, is that appraisal that everybody is talking about doesn't happen until we actually apply to the loaning institution. When they get ready to say yea or nay, they are going to say, is that not right? They will do the appraisal then. Nobody does the appraisal beforehand, the lending institution does the appraisal.
You get the
It's part
appraisal,
of our application
you
process.
get the
to
appraisal
ABCC.
done whenever you pay the appraiser.
Well, but I mean, usually most people don't go out and do an appraisal because they know it's gonna get appraised again. Spend the money for one appraisal when you know it's gonna get appraised again.
You could use it for the dual purpose. But it was not
But if
even,
we're gonna-
it
If
was,
we're gonna have a contract, I mean, that it would be appraised at, you know, at the purchase price, I see nothing wrong
And I
with
do
that.
think if you make this
But-
offer, and whoever you make an
The
offer
only-
to, it's a good thing to include.
The only other statement that I wanted to make, Joe, is the offer to purchase, all this stuff has still got to go back to the ABC board.
I don't doubt
Because they've not seen this, they don't,
They may see something they don't like.
know the exact, I don't think, because we don't know the exact amount of payments. They need to be apprised of all this stuff, because then they will go look at their budget and look at
that.
their.
Is it in this contract contingent upon approval of the local ABC board?
It's contingent on the local ABC board entering into a lease of the property for the term and the amount specified by the town.
Well, then I think we probably ought to add the additional phrase of approval of offer purchase.
So we're really then today
I don't
limited
know
this.
that, I don't know that we are. I mean, I don't know that we are.
I know that,
But
but
I don't know that I wanna go back and hash out something that the,
If
that
it-
the committee supposedly hashed out
I
3 months ago.
don't think this stuff is hashed out. I just do not believe that
Fair.
that these arguments right here, especially given the recent understanding that they're not going up to 10%, which was the precipitous for the whole
Yeah,
thing.
but I don't know.
What if we,
You
I mean,
can't
isn't
look
today,
back, you can't look back all the time.
We've not signed anything. Now's the time to look back.
well, with this to now, can you not move forward enough for them to be able to go back to this and negotiate with here, with Brightmeyer, and then for the ABC? Because it's at a standstill right now. You can't go one way or the other. And I think and the majority of the ABC board is foregoing
Sam, tell me,
from the letter that says.
tell me your argument as to why this makes sense. I'm assuming that you've been the integral part of this, the whole deal with the committee. You're our town manager. If you were sitting here and had to make a decision on this, how would you weigh it out, and where do you believe that, what the best decision is?
Well, first of all, I'd remove all the extraneous things, like whether or not the company is raising its rent or not, because the essence of the question has moved way beyond that. And I suspect if you go back and weigh the odds, they didn't make their offer to lower the rent here until they really got an indication that it was serious, that they were gonna leave.
Irrelevant.
So, it's not. What's relevant is the fact that the only thing that I think made the company decide to lower or take away their rate increase was the fact that they were now concerned about losing a tenant.
We're there either way.
Well, yeah. But on to the bigger question, it becomes a matter of the economics of the operation and whether or not it's to the town, that is to say the town of Franklin's ultimate benefit to own the real estate and the building that's used for the ABC store or not. And I think the work of the ABC study committee came back with the conclusion that it was. And that's what's before the board.
Well,
on the
let me see
table.
the numbers. What numbers did they use to reach that conclusion? You can't just reach it in a vacuum. They have to know how much it costs, how much the value is, what the expected value is after the end of the 20-year lease. Were any of those numbers out there, or was it just a general concept that it's better to own than it is to rent?
let's say that we stay in the building we're in, we stay in it for the next 20 years, and let's say, which won't happen, that they do not raise the rent. 20 years from now, we will pay $1,488,000, and what have we got to show for it?
Nothing.
Could I ask a question about that? What is the life of these shopping centers anyhow? They're vacant all over the United States, crumbling in.
My impression was when this first came to us too, that the ABC board was saying, whether it be Walmart or wherever, they are wanting to move and have a different store in a different location. That was my impression, period, that they're gonna move somewhere.
But going back to my question, Joyce, this is supposed to be a super Walmart. What if in 20 years they go and build a super Walmart and we've got another abandoned shopping center?
By that time, the ABC board would probably have made a decision to move on someplace else.
Been doing what with their
Probably
cloud?
By that time, we would be,
Sell the building.
yeah, sell the building. We at least would have something, like Farrell just said, that's a huge amount of money we're giving in rent and have nothing to show for it, where at least we would have a building in our name and something.
But for Farrell's talking about the 1.4 million whatever, I'm seeing well over 2 million though in the 20-year period. So there's the $600,000. Is the place going to be
But
worth
we'll own it,
$600,000?
so we'll have something in return for it where we have nothing in return.
If it's worth $600,000, or whatever the difference is between the two numbers, and I know we're just estimating. So no, that's not at all clear. It's just in no way a fashion. But Sam, have you run the numbers, or are you just into the concept of ownership versus rental?
Well, we don't have the complete numbers yet because we don't have the financing package.
Well, then why are we making?
Because this is a necessary step to get there. If you don't go any further, I'm not going to waste any more time with our financial consultant to get the absolute financing numbers, and we're not going to check with financing institutions to get interest rate quotes to us. We're not going to go forward and get the commercial appraisal of the property. All these things will not occur. The next step to make that occur is for the board to move to the next step. If you don't, it stops. End of story.
The contract says all we have to get is 5% money. Are we willing to get it on 5% money? We're not going to pay 5% money. Why does our contract have a 5% number?
It was put in there as,
And the ABC board may say no to it when they look at it.
No,
they-
we need to, Sam, if you think we can get 3.5% money, we need to put 3.5% in that contract.
and it certainly can be changed to that.
Well, I think the concept was that it was not going to exceed 5%.
But if we,
Certainly from the initial financial returns that I'm getting from Davenport show that we're going to be below 3.
well, then let's put a number down there because we don't want to get, why not, Sam?
Why do you want to artificially restrict the whole
Because-
process on it?
If we have to go between a 3% number and a 4.5% number, that's a lot of interest, Sam, that we're paying.
Yeah, but this board is going to have more opportunities to review this thing as it moves forward. And if you find the interest rates distressing, then you can terminate. Right now, the projection shows less than 3%.
Well, then let's put a lower number than 5 on that offer.
What difference does it make?
Because if it turns out we can get 4.5% money, then that's not an out for us. We have to go with it and get 4.5% money and close. We don't have an out if we get any 5% or less. That's where the difference
I
makes.
do think that provision is protection for the buyer and gives them the option that if the number comes in higher than expected and you feel comfortable with it anyway, then you don't have to
That's right.
resort to that provision. You could go through with it anyway. But perhaps not the other way around.
So what do you recommend, John?
I think it is reasonable to, and I think 5% was the upper limit that I thought was my guesstimation on the absolute upper limit that the financing would cost.
So we feel safe to
think
put it
it's-
at 4?
I think it'd be reasonable to put it at 4 or 3.5, I'm sure. I don't think it's gonna make a bit of difference to the seller. They don't care as long as the purchase price
They don't
is
care,
there.
yeah, they don't care what interest it is.
But it gives
So-
us an opportunity to have an out if we want it, if the interest rate doesn't come in. Whereas at 5%, we wouldn't have.
You're going to have that option anyway.
Under what theory?
theory of approving the final loan packages and all the rest of it.
We don't.
The contract that John's drawn up allows for that out.
When we
How
sign
many
a
outs,
contract.
really, how many outs need to be in there?
Well, why not have as many as you can, Sam?
Wow.
Well,
If you're doing a contract and if you have outs, then their outs are there. I mean, every little corner jug, you don't need them out. If you're gonna.
Sissy, I've done real estate law for 25 years.
I don't know, but I don't see, you know, when you buy something, if you,
This ain't our money,
I
Sissy.
think we're less than our argument. We need to do a
I
vote.
know it's not our.
We're a fiduciary, that we can't make this is not our, we can't, this is a gamble.
I know this is our money. And
Okay.
then, and the next thing, I mean, but it's going to be paid by the
It-
ABC board.
What if it privatized?
What?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
to bring us maybe back full circle, are we supposed to be voting on something tonight to give the ABC
I do
again?
not know.
Okay.
I do not know.
Because I think we can just keep, all
I
have our
agree.
own opinion, we could be here quite a while, it's still, everybody's got, it doesn't mean one's right, one's wrong, whatever. We all have expressed our views like you've asked us. What is our next step? What do we need to do now?
I guess that's more John's hand.
it's a motion.
Did we give you a motion to go back to Brightmeyer?
We already have had
Okay.
the authority from the board to negotiate a
Okay.
contract. I don't
So
think
we
we
go
need
back-
that to continue doing so.
Okay.
Tonight was whether or not the board was comfortable, and again, I apologize for not having had a finalized version of a suggested offer
A
for
death in the
you.
family, so.
It's not, you know, the negotiation has not gone exactly in the direction we thought it would. If the board is not prepared to approve a recommended offer, which is what I've sent to you, with perhaps some revision based on the discussion we've had tonight, then it can wait until the next regular meeting.
That's another
We-
month.
It
I
is.
think we need to.
We can ask.
I think we just need to.
We'll meet again in 2 weeks. This is.
Okay,
Can we
good.
just make a motion that we go ahead and pass it back to the ABC board for them to continue on?
No,
Go?
you
No.
don't need to,
We don't need to do
take any
anything.
action whatsoever.
We don't have to do anything. The ABC board can just continue on.
The ABC board, I don't quite understand the direction that the discussion has gone as far as the ABC board approving the purchase contract. I don't.
They don't have, they don't have a thing, they don't have a thing to do with it.
Ancillary to, you know, the question is whether or not the town will purchase it with the, you know, the aim of leasing it to the ABC board.
Do we need to take a or an A that we want it to continue or we don't want it to continue at this point? If this is kind of where we've been at tonight?
Basically, where you're gonna get, if you put a delay in there, is it simply delays the process of going down to the LGC with a reasonable expectation of getting their sign off on the schedule at probably their August meeting right now. If that does not occur, if we don't have the time schedule, then it needs to come to a halt.
Sam, I'm
You know,
not going to belabor the point much more. I want to ask you this. Thank you. What is the reason that the ABC board themselves would not be in the position where the town is and take us out of? Why is that not happening? I think you told me one time and I might have forgotten.
The town has a much better financial position in terms of recognition by financing institutions, plus the local government commission, to be able to qualify to be the holder of the property, rather than the ABC board.
In other words, they can't.
They
do it on
would
their own.
not get, I think, as favorable an interest rate, and they would not get, I think, as favorable a review of their application.
Then, if it turns out that they were to get those things, would it not be better if the town was insulated from this?
What do you mean?
Meaning that right now, the town is on the hook. We're hoping that the revenues of the ABC store for the next 20 years are satisfactory to at least pay the obligation and hopefully keep us still with a return of investment of at least of what we're having now. But if those things don't happen, then the town itself, the town's coffers are responsible for, we're signing the note with the bank.
The town would be becoming responsible for the debt.
That's right. That means on the hook.
Yeah.
And the offset of that is that the town would own the collateral.
That's right.
Okay. Doesn't matter about the financing period or anything else from that point. It's simply a matter of housing the ownership of the property.
We would take
And
possession then.
Correct. And
Yeah.
the whole assumption that the recommendation brought back to this board by the ABC committee was that it's a better thing to hold real estate value for the town as a business investment, as a long-term investment for return for the town itself. And of course, the ABC commission is an adjunct part of the town, even though statutorily it's independent, it's appointed by the town.
It's
So
a-
there
it's a mixed
is a
bag.
certain parentage there, if you will.
Can I make a comment? I've heard a lot of pro and con tonight, but I haven't heard one word said about the tax bill. I have not run into one person, other than sitting around this room right now, in the ABC board that is in favor of this. And I think sometimes you have to take the public's opinion of what they think we should be spending tax money on, and I don't think we have done that whatsoever.
There is no tax money.
This is tax money.
It
We
is-
are committing
Are we
tax
not
money.
borrowing
We're borrowing on the tax
$1.25
money.
million?
We're just hoping we get it back.
Bob, I don't think, you're with a whole different crew. I see people when I'm at the fitness center and everything, people come up, they're joking about because it's been in the paper so much, they're making jokes about, but I have not had persons come
I
up
guess
to
I
me.
do run with a little lower class.
No, I
crowd.
didn't mean it that way.
Well,
Don't
that's
go
the way
there.
it came out.
Well, Bob, we've known each other long enough
I
to
know.
put up with that crap.
I beg your pardon?
There is no tax money involved in this. It is to be paid out of liquor store revenue, which comes from sale of product.
And who's signing the note?
The town.
Okay. Between the town and the bank,
Yes.
we're pledging our tax money. We're just hoping.
The town is pledging its good faith to pay a debt.
That's right. We're
And
hoping.
the town is offering to pay that on the arrangement of a long-term lease with the ABC board using liquor store revenue, which is sales revenue, to pay the debt.
As long
That
as
is
it's
not
there.
tax money.
As long as it's there.
Well, Joe, they have to pay rent anyway.
Yes, they do. But if they don't pay it, the town is not responsible for paying it. Right now, we would.
That's, I mean, I don't.
In other words, you're concerned about our liability.
Yeah, absolutely. We're signing the note, not the ABC board.
I mean, so we're saying that the ABC board is not capable of doing that.
I'm saying that right now we're getting $70,000 and over $2 million coming in. We don't have a very good return. We don't have any idea. They're talking about privatization almost every session of the legislature.
Well, that's been talked.
I
since
think
the
we have
year
talked this
before.
to death, and I think we just need to move on.
I
Well-
think we need to either.
Say yay or
vote
nay
to
and
go
go.
on, move to the next step, or either to stop. I think we need to do, I mean, we've got to give some, we've got to have something around this board that says we are.
I make a motion that we are still in favor of moving the ABC store to Walmart, whether be it that appropriate or not. If from the
Yeah.
verbiage,
John.
The appropriate motion would be to approve the offer to purchase as presented. I think that there, what I
With the change
heard, and I
about the
thought a
interest rate.
consensus was that it could, also should require that the appraisal support the
Yes.
loan that is required there, and to lower the interest rate, the maximum interest rate that the town would pay to 4%.
There's something about the 1.25 million earnest money down to 50, something like that.
Well, it's already done.
That's it.
It's already-
Right, that's already, yeah, just want to make sure, Billy, that's a big one.
Yeah,
Get them.
that was a surprise, but that's the motion to end the discussion that the board has come to at this point would be along those lines.
But then there would be something in there, John, about the lease and
It is required that, it is a requirement of the town's performance of this contract that the ABC board enter into a lease to lease the property from the town. You don't have a contract if you can't reach a lease agreement with the ABC.
Does that sound okay? So we were talking about changing it to percentage rate two and the appraisal, or were those the two changes we were gonna make?
I think so, yes.
Sam, wasn't that loan going to be with you combining that loan with some other?
Yeah, we're doing a rate refinancing on a utility loan, so adding the theory on it to take to the bank and to the LGC really, is that we're adding collateral to a loan refinancing. And so there's added incentive to get a better rate from hopefully the initial bank, if not then to be competitive to go into the financing market itself.
What do we pay on that loan?
4.15.
So we're due for a refi. We should investigate a refinance to get a better rate than that.
That's already underway.
Of course, right.
Yeah, we've already, I think the board did that several months ago. Yeah. And again, the anticipated rate would be that it's going to be under 3%. But
Great.
I can't refine that any further right now because I don't have the formal close back from the
course
institution.
not.
So,
I should also add that it would be helpful if the motion included authorization to the manager to sign the offer to purchase, since I have to make a couple of revisions.
Yeah, you might have a hard time getting the signature
I
from the mayor.
I would make the motion of whatever John just said with his verbiage.
I have a broken hand for one.
I second John's verbiage.
Any further discussion? Joyce, now you're ready to talk.
You don't want me anymore.
All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? What we got next? Okay. We got the litigants over here on the west side of the,
Did anybody get this?
you've had your fun, now it's time for your.
Wait just a minute. Okay, let's just make this clear. We've already voted on it. Exactly where are we now?
We're with the ABC board, as far as I'm concerned, to continue on and let's
Continue.
move.
The board has authorized the offer to purchase to be made to the seller. We'll have that to them tomorrow. They haven't accepted it yet, so you don't have a contract right at this moment. Once you have one, we'll have a package at that point to take to the LGC for approval as soon as possible. And Sam, did you don't think we'll make the July meeting at this point?
Their calendar, according to what Bob told me, is already crowded with
So
some big financing things, so we've got an advanced registration and a hold on to be on the August calendar. Unless something opens up on the July calendar, we'll be in August.
So when is that shopping center planning up?
Middle of October, the guy at Walmart told me whenever he was asking me to speak at the grand opening. About October 15th.
I mean, you're not.
Short speech.
I'm a politician, sissy.
We're gonna have to talk to them about that.
Not Walmart, just a liquor store.
Man,
We want you there for the ribbon cutting, Joe.
Be a short speech.
Yeah, we had to hustle over the bottle shop.
When will the lease, when will we be able to look at a lease?
I'm working on one now,
Okay.
pronto.
So in the 2 weeks' time, we should be able to, John, in 2 weeks, for our next meeting or before?
We'll have, before that.
And it would also depend upon how quickly, they may not accept our count.
Right, they may
Or
look
our,
at this.
well, they may not accept, whatever it is considered a
Yeah,
count.
exactly, yeah, they may.
Now, is that,
I'm exhausted,
Sissy,
let's move on.
Is that satisfy you on that question?
I guess I have to.
I mean, I don't know anything else.
No, I think
I
that
think we beat it
you
to
all
death.
are plowing gravel in the topsoil very well.
Yeah, let's move.
tops. Well, I haven't heard that.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Boxes come.
Dave, we got carried away the last meeting, misinterpreted or otherwise incorrectly construed your request, which you took us literally, and then you were gonna go on that until it turned out it's probably better to go to Plan B,
Yes, sir.
which is really Plan A to start with.
It should have been, B should have been A originally.
Right.
Originally, I requested the Stewart Street be closed. But out of respect for the Mr. Swafford and also the Rathskeller and the business around the area, we've decided to be safe and make everybody have a chance to enjoy the whole storage area. We've decided to use Ledford building.
Ledbetter, you said.
Is it Ledbetter? What is it? What's
I ain't heard either one.
I was told, but we're at Outdoor 76 and Kitchen Gourmet to use that side down and do not affect any of the ramps, on ramps from West Palmer, so that way people can still visit the stores and have access in the area. So that's why we decided to be safe and get on that, and that way it won't affect anybody, and we also could be able to promote all the businesses around that area. So tonight we've asked that if we can look into having that side of the building down, not the alleyway, but the one building where American Computers and Outdoor things down.
Summer, we know you're getting this down. You wanting to be able to close it part of a day?
Yes, it's from 10 to 4, just that one side, that's it. Yes, sir, but it won't be Stewart Street, it's just the end of Stewart Street, that inside.
So there's no through street there anymore?
No,
It's from where the
You're just talking
town
about the
parking
parking
lot
lot.
comes up east.
yeah, but like I said, yeah,
Toward
just,
the old post office.
What about your place, Todd?
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna block the access to my buildings, is that?
no,
No.
the ramps will be available. Both ramps on the other side of Ben's area will be available.
Sit with outdoor.
Well, you're saying ramps, what's a ramp?
I'm saying the on ramps, the parking area where they park right there at the attic and all that stuff.
So the street itself is open.
Yeah, street itself's open. Originally, I requested for Stewart Street down, thinking originally a block party, but then as the boy,
I think, Todd, to answer your question, they're not gonna be able to come up beside Ben's building and take a right and go out to yours that day. They could come up from
Go
the,
left.
or they could come up from the parking lot
Is that what you want?
to yours.
This won't access to my property.
That's all.
yeah, see, everybody will have access to the property. Like I said, we're closing down the dead end section right there, that little area of the alleyway. I guess the walkway goes down from that side of the building down. It will not affect anybody's parking area at all.
Ben, where do you come out on this?
Well, number one, I am all for whatever we get to enhance Franklin, give merchants a chance for new customers. But my problem is, I don't like the verbiage on here that says it's gonna cut off the whole Stewart Street.
Yes.
Okay,
You're right.
that came from me from Dave.
Yes, that's correct.
And my deal is, walking traffic through there, not a problem, as long as we keep access for traffic through there. Don't put tenants in my parking lot, but access through there.
Okay.
Oh,
And that sounds like what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we originally communication-wise, I got excited thinking block party, but then after you look at it, like Ben came and said, hey, you're gonna affect every one of my attendants. Every one of my business is gonna be affected because you're gonna block off area. So to avoid that, we decided to reroute it to that one area.
Dave, you came to me first.
Yes, I did.
And we said, no, I don't want you using my parking lot.
That's correct.
Then before, I gave him option.
Yes,
On the big red building, open it up free for him.
Yes, sir.
And all that. Then he comes back and says he's gonna block off all of Stewart Street. I got a little upset there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't, I mean, you can understand, I can understand him 100%. I have no, like I said, he did offer it. He was nice enough to offer it free to his one building. But then when I had a chance, after talking to the individuals that are involved, we said, hey, one with this. But then, when Ben came and said, no, you're gonna hurt every direction, which I agreed to after we looked at areas and said, whoa, he's right. So like I said, personally from everybody, like I said, I'm very sorry. So,
Okay.
like I said, no, we're looking at, like I said, Outdoor 76, that little area right there. It will not affect you at all, anyway at all, too.
Yeah.
Cause
I understand what, you're saying not affecting, but I'm understanding what Mr. Swafford says. So you're saying right behind Outdoor 76,
Mhm.
it will more or less be congested.
yes.
Okay, how are my tenants gonna get through there to get to their home?
The area will be available, I mean, the grass area.
Grass.
I mean, I'm thinking, I mean, they can still walk through there, I mean, with the alleyway and all that stuff, they're back
I
out.
own that, I own that road out there, Pete.
Okay.
I own that.
So, okay.
But they just-
So how are you?
Do we
gonna
own
be
any
access to
Stewart
where
Street?
I own?
I didn't know that, I didn't know.
Barbara, you're a historian, do we own any of Stewart Street?
I have no idea.
If you do, I've got the map. No, I don't. I started saying it's in my truck, but it's not. That Mr. Gruberman printed for me.
I'll see, this, yeah,
But I own that at the
okay,
very end.
okay.
And, I mean, I don't have a problem with you doing whatever, as long as you wanna pack it up and move it if a car wants to come through there. I mean, I gotta do what the town board says.
I understand,
But I mean, you
I
gotta
was-
understand where.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
You see, I didn't know that that end down there was owned. I thought,
Given the fact that we ain't darn sure that you actually own Stewart Street, we're not gonna figure it out between now and then. And
Not
still-
Stewart Street, the
Well,
end of it.
irrespective, we consider that Stewart Street, and that might be a difference of opinion, irrespective with the coming up part down below it and be able, for that one day, for the benefit of these folks, we've lost the tartan, we lost the, the Taste of Scotland, we're still trying, Dave's trying to get a couple of hundred runners in there, maybe they'll go in there and buy something from one of you or both of you, whatever. This seems to me like a good, I mean, this ain't for his health he's doing this. I mean, you know what I mean, he's doing it in some ways, so can we go with that for that time period on that one day?
What do you say?
It's not a real good vacation.
Okay, let's do that.
I mean, I will let you, I know you have, I think one Mr. Bridges staying there. I will be happy to let him know too what's going on. I mean, I plan on not just blindsiding individuals too. I plan on letting everybody know too throughout the town, so.
Okay, we want it to be a success.
Oh, I say, I mean, yes, I like to see a successful event too.
We've only given you a phone booth, but we want you to pack it.
We will, like I said, and like I said, I appreciate these guys back here letting me use that area. So.
You will clean it up.
Oh yeah.
Because that's one point, the town doesn't clean Stewart Street.
Oh, I'm saying,
So
I mean, my name,
you should.
I mean, I just see my name's out here, so I mean, it's gonna be my name on everything, so
Right.
that rant and rave will be me.
I got you.
So I will take care of, I promise you right here on the spot in front of these guys, I will take care of anything.
Have we got this one covered?
Mr. Mayor, procedurally, since you're still in the same meeting where this was approved before, it should take a motion to reconsider and that passing, and then change it to whatever it's gonna be and pass that motion.
Motion.
To reconsider.
I make a motion, we reconsider.
He already does it.
Second.
Oh,
We got a
second.
first and second here. All in
Third.
favor, raise your hand to reconsider. Now, what motion do we want to put in its place?
That we don't close Stewart Street?
They're on the section. Right?
Close
Only
the,
half of the parking lot to the east is gonna be open.
close the section east of basically the alley. Is it basically east of the alley?
Yeah, it's just the alleyway between Mr. Mason's and the building of Stewart Street, this is the dead end side. I guess, I was told it's Ledbetter building, that's what I was told by several people when I said, okay.
Would it be logical to say east of the alley?
Yes.
Would that be accurate?
Stewart Street portion east
East of
of the alley, leaving the access from
Yeah.
both parking lots.
Yes.
Who adopts Ben's motion?
We adopt Ben's motion.
He's gonna suck it up for me.
I am, as long as they clean it up.
Okay.
And if not, I'll let them back at the next
So
meeting.
he'll have already sucked it up either way. So is there a motion to adopt Ben's wording?
Can I get your telephone?
I make a motion to adopt Ben's
Right
wording.
now, because I feel sure. Okay, no problem. Cleaned it to my satisfaction.
Everything east of the alley.
You want to bet?
Any other discussion?
You want to bet?
All in favor, raise your
I'm being
hand.
serious because you want.
Okay. Thank you, folks. Thanks for working it out. Now let's talk about asbestos.
All right, I'll take that.
Be more exciting.
Last board meeting, I brought everybody up to date on the inspections we had, as well as one of the quotations we received from Neo Corporation. And with the help of Alderman Curtis, he contacted some people that he's involved with on other things, that had done a look at that house, I guess, several years ago, and they had offered us a quote at that time. He took the inspection report that we had and provided us with a new quote, which came in at $17,000. So I guess what my recommendation to the board would be, if we're serious about cleaning off the Whitmire property, getting rid of that old house and getting it kind of cleaned up there, all the debris and everything out of there, that we authorize the town manager to start looking in the budget to set aside money for the asbestos abatement of the Whitmire house.
Point of information, then Farrell, like you were saying, to add it to the upcoming budget?
Well, whatever we want to do, I figured we
Needs to, it's not
Well,
in the
basically, your two
frozen.
choices would be either to add it to next year's budget, or the board could authorize taking it out of contingency.
Yeah. I
In
think
this year's budget.
we'd leave that.
Be better for next year's budget. What would you advise?
Well, if if you want to get it done.
We ain't been in a hurry on that.
I'm in a hurry to do
We
something
not,
quickly.
then add it to the budget.
I'd love to see something done in a hurry at this point.
If it's there, let's just add it to the budget and get it done.
Let's let the manager make his own.
We wanna do that?
Whichever you would think.
Don't you think?
What would be your recommendation, Farrell? The condition it's in seriously and everything, getting it done as soon as possible?
Well, the fire department's not gonna be able to do a burn on it, until after their ISO inspection, so we're looking at August before they actually burn it down, but we do have to get the abatement done before we can start permitting, and we need, about 6 to 8 weeks to get, environmental permits and stuff for it. So, if we got it all cleaned up by July, it'd be August, September before we can actually destroy the building. And we also have some work that we've got to do to remove all that rock from the location. And I'm working with a couple of the rock people around here to go look at it to see if we can get us some offers. So
That's
I've made
premium rock.
Yeah, I've made
Is it pretty?
contact
Would it
with
look
one,
good
I'm
for
trying to
my
get
house?
contact with another and see if maybe we can get a quote, get them to actually move it, pay us something for it.
Could we not advertise that? We have that rock for sale
Yeah.
in the bid process?
So the motion is to find $17,000 or thereabouts.
Yes, it's at least $17,000 minimum,
For the asbestos
just to have the asbestos removed
is,
and to give us a clean bill of health where we'll have it to submit to Department of Health in Raleigh to get a permit to demolish the building. We have to do it whether we
Yeah.
burn it or whether we have to tear it down. It's gotta be done.
but the $17,000 is.
$17,000 is just an abatement.
The price, that's, for asbestos, that's not bad.
I have no idea.
Everything they get, it's gotta be hauled to Homer, Georgia, can get rid of it.
I know.
Is there a motion, Cissy,
I'll make the motion that we accept.
that we authorize up to $17,000 for that purpose?
I'm surprised we can get it for $17,000.
Well, several years ago, it was,
10,000.
9,700.
Yeah, 9,700.
But, there's a little more added on to this, contract, was removing some that was in the paint in the basement walls, which has to be sandblasted.
Yeah.
So, quite a lot more labor.
And tip probably lit, but somebody's probably lit.
Well, but right now, there is no statute to require.
Maybe let us be quiet. They got a motion.
I'll make the motion that we accept, up to $17,000.
Is there a second?
I second
Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your hand.
Before we leave the Whitmire property, I'd like to make a motion that we advertise that lot that's for sale and we make it available for inspection. I don't like the idea of just selling things and, nobody's aware that it's for sale. So I make the motion that we advertise it as we would for any other, item that we're surplus or selling.
Would it be safe to go out there for people to be able to go and look at the rock and everything?
Yep, we're gonna beat the snakes off.
There's not really good way to get up there, so.
No, the road's closed, I mean, there's debris and stuff down, there. We have to drive through the field when we get into it now.
Is the rock still up there? I thought somebody had been moved.
35 skids, close to, we've estimated 2 tons of skids, so we're about 70 tons.
Well, that might be a pretty considerable amount of money into the town treasury. The rock is nice.
Farrell, is the rock skidded up?
It's skidded and wire caged.
can we move it to somewhere and have,
Well, if
would that make
there's-
sense?
If there's no buyer for it or anything else, we were just planning to get town crews to move it off the site as a last expedient and store it on another piece of.
But if we were to do this, if we were to make one Saturday morning or sometime available for all who want to come and inspect, so on at one time, everybody with notice would have a right to come and have the, weeds knocked back or something, and let them inspect it, place bids, how would that satisfy?
That would be all right, and I'd also recommend advertising it in the Highlands newspaper because of a lot of people up there with money.
Do we have an estimate if there's 70 tons, Harold, do you have a
No, no, I just got the names, I went out and got the names of the rock people over in, Bryson City and the ones down on the Georgia Road. They're the only ones I can find in the book, so.
Sam, what's your limitation to declare
Surplus?
surplus?
5,000.
Is it 5,000?
Truthfully, I have absolutely no idea what the value of the rock is.
No, but I have a hunch it's probably more than 5,000.
Oh, yeah. Well, Bob can go over there and take pictures of it and get them, put them on the website and we can send it out.
That's a good idea.
Well, there's obviously no urgency in this either. It's we've got it's set
We
there.
need to get it removed before we have the asbestos.
Do we?
Yeah, we need to get in our trucks.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Before,
You haven't been, if you noticed, you've been over and seen the mess that it's in, we actually need to get that moved off.
it would be
We'll have some
helpful
work.
to have some estimate what's worth, because it makes a difference in terms of how you can and can't.
And a wholesaler, a jobber could come and give us that.
That's what I
Well,
was
that's
doing,
what-
yeah, that's what I
Let's
was
start with
doing.
that.
Working on getting
That's
done.
what I was doing.
Start with that and let's see.
I think so too. Can we maybe have a number there for our June meeting? Harold, would it be fair for 2 weeks to get somebody over there and give us at least a wholesale estimate?
Well, I can see if this Leonard Parton, he's the one that Smoky Mountain Stone,
No other.
I can see if they can get over there and take a look at it.
Well, I'll get over tomorrow to make it.
I had a rock mason look at it to start with, one of our employees, that's worked in rock, he's the one who gave it the name.
Scotty?
Alan Williams, that's what he did.
Yeah.
He laid off that type of stuff before he worked for fire department.
Janet, wake up over there.
I'm on work.
So does that, Bob, can we wait till next month to find out what we have as far as value before we turn it on and market it?
You talking about on the road?
On your motion?
sure.
You out?
That's fine.
So Bob's withdrawing his motion for the record right now. Probably making sure on how much it's worth.
Yeah, and I'll
Yeah.
make pictures. Well, now, we're gonna, I'll still make pictures and y'all decide.
We'll need the pictures, and all we'll need to be is, we'll need to estimate it, estimate the number of tons. And they thought each one of them skids was one and a half, 15 to 2,000 pounds. That's where I got the possibility of 35, 50 tons.
So it's hard for you to pick that up. But you did. Is that where we're at?
Alexa?
Sam,
Sir,
talk about the budget.
that's your recommended here. Summer, would you distribute the budget message to the media as well? Legal fees are in there.
I see the legal fees, but not the increase for pain and suffering.
You also don't notice the increased participation or kickback.
You get half price at the liquor store.
Deal.
The only only thing that's necessary at this point is for the board to acknowledge that it's been, that the budget and the budget message have been presented to the board.
Then what would you expect, what do we need to figure on as far as?
Well, that's discussion item for the board to to determine how they want to look at it, what sort of circumstances between now and June.
How would it be for us to look at maybe sometime, maybe next Tuesday or something, get past Monday, which is Memorial Day, or sometime next week, to have a session, maybe about, I'm thinking 5:30 or so, what we have today. Would that be something, Sam, you think would be about?
Give everybody a chance to read it and
Yeah.
look through the numbers.
You can make available, can you not, for us who want it last year so that we can compare? I always like to compare the numbers from last year to this year.
It is a comparison to the current year's budget, isn't it?
Well, then you've done that.
And of course, any questions you want to just forward them with,
You're saying either Tuesday or Wednesday, is that what you're saying?
I'm just suggesting, yes, not Monday because it is
Yeah,
Memorial
right.
Day, and then we don't want Friday, nobody wants to do it on Friday. I'm saying Tuesday or Thursday. Tuesday. Farrell, can you do it Tuesday?
No, I've got a hospital appointment on Tuesday, so I'll be at the hospital.
Yeah, the one's gonna keep you.
No, I'm gonna get it.
Okay, so Tuesday's out, Wednesday or Thursday, I guess.
I'm fine to get it. Something I've got on my list.
I have a meeting at 4 to 5 on Thursday.
Does anybody have a conflict that they really want to raise on Wednesday?
That's the 30th, right?
Yes.
Yes, I won't be there.
Okay.
I cannot, I'll be out of town.
Thursday, I can after 5.
Well, it would be after 5.
we thought it was 5:30.
I thought it was 5:30. What about Thursday at 5:30? Who has a conflict? Will you be out of town?
I'm trying to make this thing warm up.
Thursday at 5:30.
You got your calendar? Mine's coming up, so I was gonna say, if you'd send out anything for next Thursday.
Yeah.
It's not this next Thursday, is it?
This Thursday, we've got an event.
This Thursday, we have the retirement.
Yeah, it's this,
Yeah, but that's the 2 though, one, 2 to 4.
You can meet at 5:30.
yeah.
If you think that gives you enough time to look at the numbers.
Hey, I'm hoping for,
This, they're gonna be in that party about 4.
So we're saying 31st?
well, we're not sure yet. Somebody's suggesting the 24th. Isn't that right? Somebody suggested
24th after Jack Mason's retirement.
Well, that's what somebody suggested this Thursday.
The 24th would be, okay.
Farrell, is there a chance you could be with us next Tuesday? Or just no?
I don't know. I don't know what time I'm going in, just outpatient.
And you may not feel like it, you know.
Get the police to come pick me up all over here.
Yeah. Talk about the insurance for the employees.
I'll probably be okay later in the day.
What,
I'll be here all next week.
Let's go Tuesday at 5:30.
that'd be the 29th?
You talking about,
No, a week from tomorrow.
The 29th.
That'll give us a whole weekend to read this.
okay, that's fine.
What's that? The 29th?
Yes, it will be.
You're gonna make that a continuation meeting until then.
Would that be recommended, you think?
It does leave open the possibility of adding further items to be dealt with if needed.
I wish Sam was back here because there's 2 more things while we're here. but-
You'll be, I think you'll be right there.
Okay. One is on the, I think it is my understanding, Summer, maybe you can help me here. The ceremony for the fallen soldier, none of us, Janet, what do you got there?
I think we need to make a motion to accept this.
to accept it or to receive it.
To
What it says.
receive it, I
Then
think.
it
You got
makes
to
the right motion.
receive it.
If you want to accept it, that means it's simply been presented.
Oh, well, whatever. We're not approving it, we just accept it.
But I think you just accept it, then you can do.
I make a motion that we accept.
Did she ever hear your motions, Billy?
Oh, right, maybe this is
Second,
her, maybe
second.
this, Billy, I'm sorry, here, I'm gonna start looking at you first.
We'll give Joyce the motion, Billy the second.
No, let Billy get it first.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Okay, I'm
What was
watching.
this ceremony for the fallen soldiers that apparently none of us knew about unless we knew about it from somewhere else? Is this just a fraternal order of police thing that it's their baby and it's not, the town really has no, you just didn't know about it either?
Oh, the law enforcement memorial?
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah,
Well,
but
good.
no,
How'd you know
We normally
that?
get invitations, and no, we usually were notified to be there, and we weren't given any invitation.
That hurts my
But
feelings.
not,
I-
but not as
I
bad.
understand the county and the town didn't receive anything from that.
But it's not anything, it wasn't an oversight by Summer or Sam, it's just that it never got,
That man never sent it to Summer.
and they just closed the streets better to get forgiveness than it is permission, I guess.
Well, it worked,
Yeah.
even though.
Well, that's what you was
Somebody
talking
tell
about.
Dave.
Well, I think it is.
Now Linda
Right, I'm not saying that we wouldn't.
Linda said she had received a letter from that gentleman saying it was going to happen, and they were closing the street, and she just went on the assumption, because it wasn't her place, that it had already come through us.
Well,
And
fair
it
enough.
had, yeah, because it wasn't her place to come in front of us either, so.
We did last year.
And finally, Sam, we voted to mow last time, and I noticed it hasn't been mowed.
Yes, and we're working on it.
In that, for our, are we working for our own folks to mow? Which is what-
No, we, I think did everybody get a copy of the inventory of mowed versus unmowed? Sent out to you, and some people use that, I know, to call property owners that they do.
Did we not vote unanimously though for the town to mow those areas?
No.
Anything from the
Well, why did we
sidewalk to the
vote?
street, we
Here's
just.
the motion. Farrell made the motion. Continue to take care of town roads, sidewalks, gutters, and will not mow private areas, and work with property owners and DOT and look at, in those areas that are difficult to maintenance, to plant eco-grass. And Joyce seconded it, and the board approved.
We haven't approved those minutes. We have not approved
You
those
asked me what
minutes.
the motion was, Joe, I'm just reading it for you.
That was,
And
I
that's
could
it.
We
swear
all
we
believe you're
said,
expecting it was to be mowed.
I could swear we said from the sidewalk to the street.
Yeah, that's,
But it's not in there, so maybe
Well,
I had this other
Okay,
here.
with the DOT,
yeah.
didn't we realize that since the DOT is working with us
Yeah.
with, for no-mow areas, that we would mow theirs this summer?
Yeah, they've, the DOT is, and it includes some of those areas behind, like Simpson and Joe Sanders' property, close to Indian Mountain. Those are gonna be, the town's gonna take care of those because we're now working with the DOT about putting in permanent landscape.
How about Bobby?
How about Pete?
Peak's one of them, that's right. So they're gonna be put on the schedule to take care of. Now, as far as the other private property owners that haven't moved, we're still in the process of running them down. And once we come to the point where we don't have a contact or can't get it done, then the town is gonna go ahead and cut those areas with the idea that at some point, we're gonna offer, when we can find the property owner or a responsible person, to look at offering them the alternatives of doing something with the track, or perhaps planting the eco-grass in there if they don't want to maintain it in the future. That's where it is right now.
well, given the fact that most all of us, I believe, expected that we had voted for there to be mowing done of these areas, do we want to get a motion more clear while we're here tonight so that we'll know when we leave that it's going to be mowed? I just don't, I'm tired of seeing big areas we need to mow.
They could go ahead and mow the, areas. Now, found out that the property down there, which has the Four Seasons, what was that, hill, that the Four Seasons horses not, they don't have that anymore. And I think it be Dean Dean Stribling's. And they live in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And I did get their address. And then the bank, the First Citizens Bank, they were not keeping that up. So I called Mr.
Current,
And Boss said that, he called me back, and he said that it should be cleaned by Wednesday, and if it weren't, to call him again.
well, good.
So, but the telephone company, I don't know about.
In front of the old Bradford Jacobs Gold Station there, when you cross the bridge on the right. All, you know, I'm talking about those type of areas. Coming up the other way on Main Street, these,
Some of that
used
should
to be
be.
Bradford Jacobs Gulf Station on the right when you cross the old, going east on Town Bridge.
I knew it as the BP station, the old BP station, is that what you're talking about? There by the Bowley Shopping Center.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Sure. Those areas, I mean, we know what we've been mowing before in the past. I thought we were gonna go ahead and get back to that and still work on trying to get this eco grass and other options, but getting that what?
Coming up Town Hill, that falls there, should
Yeah,
have all
let's just go ahead and get
uniform.
make a
I thought
motion.
the DOT was the DOT owns quite a bit of properties, and down there by the bridge, I know they're willing to look at that and clean that up, so that, by
When?
by
We need to
the.
Well,
make
yeah,
Town
in
Hill.
those cases with the DOT, they're perfectly willing, and they have in the past, because we're gonna work into a project due this fall, that the town's gonna go ahead and trim it to get it looking better until such a time as the DOT can get in there and start fixing up those sides.
So how many if we do the DOT, what else, how much do we know?
There's probably a dozen left,
It's-
according to that inventory sheet that was emailed out to you. There's about a dozen properties that
That's
still
still
haven't
enough.
done anything.
Jay's boys know what they've mowed consistently the past several years. Why can't we maintain that until such time as we know what we're doing with the eco grass and otherwise? I mean, that's a simple thing. They know what they control.
Till we can get a hold of the owners and.
Like, I guess the thing that bothers me is that, I know where I'm living is the field across the street from us. Those people live in Mississippi, or that lady that owns that whole area lives in Mississippi.
Birmingham.
I don't know where, but down through somewhere. And, so nobody knows who takes care of what. But the town used to mow up that residential street, under that fence, and then down there in that corner. And, they were blowing off the sidewalk the other day, and I just mentioned to them, could they, and they would not touch that, because they'd not been told to, so they wouldn't touch it. And it's getting so big now that they're gonna have to, I don't know,
Bale it,
Bale it, I mean, or do something with it. The thistle would come, the thistle were this tall.
But I think we need to do something until we can get a hold of it.
Yeah.
I understand where Sam was coming from, that if the other businesses say, wait a minute, if I wait long enough.
In theory, it's great, but it ain't gonna work in practice.
Well, I think if we can, and there are a lot of people, a lot of those people are doing really good jobs
They
of
are.
taking
Yes,
care
they
of the
are.
properties. I know down below us, that golf place, they've really taken, they mowed all that, so they're taking care of it. But, it bothers me where those areas are that, for instance, that stripping property on that street, the sidewalk, is just a mess.
Well, at this point, he won't know whether we mowed it or
Let's-
not, so let's, we go ahead and get it done, and at least look decent.
Let's get a clear and concise motion. Let's get it voted up or down. Let's continue the meeting until next Tuesday. That's what we're down to, isn't it?
I don't know what, I'm just sitting here like the rest of everybody, I don't know what to make a motion, how to do it.
I thought we covered that last time.
We've got a
We said
motion.
that we were gonna take care of the sides, between the sidewalks, those little grassy
Right,
areas.
that's what I.
Those is what I've noticed have not been done.
Right,
Well,
that's
now
what I
take care of
wanted
you
to
mean
know.
mow.
Mow.
Okay, that's what I'm,
But
that's
this
what
is
the
weedy,
motion.
now this is, like over where we are, over there on the corner there, Wanya and Porter, that area right there is weedy. That's just.
Well, whichever, but
But
from
that,
the
isn't that part
sidewalk,
of, isn't that part of the
to the
estate?
street.
over there?
We can't find $100.
Yes,
I think we need to stay.
Yeah.
But we're saying, right, Carol, from the
Well,
sidewalk to the
if you come
street.
up, if you come up Farmer Street up through there, and you've got parking places all along through there, but there's a grassy spot between the road curb and the sidewalk, and it's grown up not this high.
So we have to.
And that's what you see a lot all over town.
And as well as areas in front of the old Gulf Station, which has a little semicircular football size shape with grass growing. It's not exactly between sidewalk and curb, but it's right in the middle of the
We didn't
building.
include that last.
Well,
No,
then-
we didn't talk about that. We only talked like from the sidewalk to the street.
You know, in front of the old, as you cross town bridge.
Isn't that the Harold's?
That gas station on the right. It has a little
The
area in front.
I guess I will
telephone
include
company, that
that
yard, why?
with the
I
middle
guess we used to
and
do
the
that.
peaks and everything
That
as
way
being.
it was-
Me too, but
being
our motion
state.
just says between.
Well, that's owned by Bob Reynolds. Bob owns that gas station.
Maybe that was those men.
Yeah.
They don't, they are.
Well, between them, though.
We don't have to know that much.
There we go.
Should.
No, not much longer.
Nope. I'll be very exclusive about that.
Because what?
So,
So the town?
Sam, is it gonna take a more specific motion for you to get the guys out there to mow what we're talking about?
well, no, the process from the previous motion is in the works right now, so we're gonna get to them.
But we all expected the mowers to be cranked up for that.
Could we make a motion that it
They're
get
out
done?
mowing, I mean, they're mowing, they just got a lot of catching up to do.
I'd like to see at least Main Street cleaned up looking.
Well, our entrances, you know, when people come along and home, that's it now. Of course, you know.
Can we at least, this next week, Sam, just do the part between the sidewalk and the curb, the little strip through
Yeah,
there?
that's the most obvious.
Yeah, I
That
think
was-
everybody'd be a whole lot more pleased if we could just do that part.
Certainly, as we discussed, it looks like a set of teeth with one tooth.
Yeah.
I think it's
So,
right in that corner, which is. where it's all over the usually.
yeah.
We're getting ready to adjourn. You folks come in for a special? No, okay.
You're just having such a good time listening.
I've got 2 items for adjourn. I met with Chief Hicks today in Cherokee, not representing the town, not speaking for the town, just looking to see if there was common ground. The issue was raised about a letter to the town board, and he is sending a letter to the town board about the mound situation. There were several other people there, including some that had sat in on some of the mound committee meetings from the tribe. The other thing is Sam sent out a notice that there was a deadline on the Viper route to come up with a plan. What is the status of it? It was supposed
Right
to be
now, the
used last
TDA is
week.
gonna meet sort of a final meeting on the thing, either make it or break it on
Hey, Coggins, what do you know about that? The biker rally. You
I
told me
read in
something
one of the
about
papers that they were thinking about moving it back out to the Watauga Center.
Foot of the hill on the right. They call that a center tents.
Whatever they call it.
Okay.
But that,
I read that too.
but the plan has never been submitted as to the TDA yet?
Not yet, they're having a call
it.
meeting.
That's the meeting on
Yes.
this Wednesday.
Okay, I just wanted to satisfy my curiosity of where we stood since they didn't meet the deadline.
Motion that we continue this meeting until Tuesday, the 29th at 5:30.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay.